Welcome everyone to this video on the tutorial on the National Guidance for Plastic Pollution, Hotspotting and Shaping Action. So today we're gonna focus on starting to work with the tools and starting to produce the plastic pollution hotspotting. Let's go down here at the start of the tutorial. So you need to go to the website Plastic Hotspotting Lifecycle Initiative and to the module tab. And basically you need to download for this video tutorial and the next two video tutorials, you need to download tools T1, T2, and then tools T3. And just notice that module T1 and module T2 have the same tools, so you can download them only once. And basically, what we're gonna focus on today is module T1, inventory of plastic flows, and T2, characterization of waste management. So let's get started. At the very beginning, we need to collect production and trade quantities. So here the concept is that we're gonna have different steps that help us kind of create this mind map and move us through the different steps that are needed to complete the plastic pollution assessment for a given country. When you find the hand, it means that action is needed by the user. And then the bottom circle indicates the dimension in which we're working in. And here we're gonna work on a polymer dimension. So we're gonna be interested in production and trade quantities by polymer. And we're gonna model the trade data by polymer. And then there is the number of the step, and the color indicates whether it's a data collection step, it's a modeling step, and you have all the different type of steps listed there. So, and go here. Once you download the tools from the website, you find yourself with this module T1, T2. And now we can start from the first one. And I'm gonna go quickly through this part because actually the modules until modules T1.4 are auxiliary tools. Sorry, the tools until T1.4 are auxiliary. So it's just to give you extra resources to structure the data, to structure the research, but they're not mandatory to fill in for the modules. So for example, here you see it just provides a template to structure the data sources and data gaps. And here there's an example for South Africa. You have all the different resources that are basically reports or database that we have access to. And then there are information like years and all of that. But then most importantly, we mark down what type of information is contained in the tool so that then throughout the modeling steps, you need to access certain types of information and you can just come back to this tool and see, okay, I have information on waste collection rates in urban areas in, let's say, water waste database, or I have them in this report, in this article on South Africa. So it's just an auxiliary tool that highlights the type of information that you might need and help you structure the research. Moving on, tool T1.2 to 2.2. It's a data collection sheet. So basically you see you have different sheets, and each sheet has a topic. Here, for example, production. And the idea here is more if you want to do data collection at the, like you, not through desktop analysis, but by contacting like a stakeholders, and you can use this template to collect the data. So it kind of guides you in the data collection when you have to contact directly the stakeholders. And there are different type of topics. And tool T1.3, we're not gonna do in this tutorial because it's, I mean, it just it's just a model canvas, even if you want to do an analysis of fisheries. What we're going to focus on today, which is actually step one, is collect the production data and the trade quantities. So production data is some data that you actually need to either purchase or research online or go and ask stakeholders. So it's really like data collection. But for trade quantities, there are available database. So if we start with the production, I'm gonna assume that we've already done all the bibliographic research and we found the value for production by polymer in the country. And here I'm talking not about manufacturing of goods, but really like production of raw material. That's what we're interested in. So once we've collected all the information, we can go to tool A in module T1, T2. And this is a tool that we use to gather basically all the information that we collected in a structured way. So I'm in the sheet T1 polymer input for T3.2. And I'm gonna write that the country is Vietnam. And then I go down to production. And here I have to put the production in 1,000 tons. And here it says for the year 2018, because this is the year that we are looking at in this case, but then in your case, it can be whatever year you're interested in. So I've already done my collection. I'm gonna just put in some values that are not necessarily the exact one for Vietnam, but are realistic values. It's just for the sake of the exercise. So I have 550,000 tons for PP, and then I have 350 for PVC. PET is 545. PS is 100. Synthetic rubber is 200. And all the rest is set to 0. And there you go, things like that. And now that we have done the production, we can move on to the trade data. So trade data, the nice things is that there is one database in particular that includes all global trade data for all goods that are traded worldwide, and this is Comtrade. I'm just gonna show you how it looks like online. So Comtrade, it's a UN database, and you can go on Get Data, and here you can see, you can choose the period, you can choose the country that you're interested in, like for instance, Vietnam, which country, and then if you're interested in whether import or export, for example, and then here it asks for an HS code. So HS stands for Harmonized System, and all of the traded goods have a code attached. So to understand a bit better how that works, this HS code and what they are, let's go ahead and open the tool T1.4a. So the Excel tool, you see there is T1.4a and T1.4b, but we want the Excel one. So if we open T1.4, maybe it's already open here. Yeah. Right. This is the entire list of codes that are included in Comtrade. And as you can see, like the list is how many? There are 7,900 codes. And you really have cheese, honey, you have fertilizer, you have tubes and pipes. So within all of these codes, we're interested in looking at the codes that imply the trade of plastic goods. And what we've done is that we've already selected such codes that include plastic, and we highlighted which polymer they are, which type of application we're talking about, if it's waste or if it's none, it means that it's a primary, like raw plastic, raw material, sorry. And then how much plastic is in it, if it's 100% plastic or if it's only partially plastic. You know, like in drink bottles, there is maybe 3% packaging of plastic by weight. And then the idea is that we've already selected all of this, but if you want and you think something is missing, or you want to tune some plastic shares of, for example, I don't know, you know that in electronics, in line telephony or telegraphy apparatus, there is not 22% plastic, but there is more or less. You can go and change it. And then once you've done that, we move on to country codes. And here, what you have to do is that you have to fill in the cell with the light blue background. So in this case, it's just the country. So basically, you have to say which country you're working on. And in this case, we want to work Vietnam. And you see what it does is that it gives you the code. And this is important because when we access the database, so now you saw the database online, you can just write the country and it gives you information, but actually you're unable to download all of this information that we need at once from the website. So we're gonna download an entire database and then search through the database using the code. And this is what happens here. So now we've selected Vietnam. So we see Vietnam appearing in this country data trade sheet. And then it says once again to fill in the cells with the light blue background. And this is all, these cells is all the trade data that we have on Vietnam. So K refers to the HS code, Q is the quantity in tons, and then K4 is just the first 4 digit, the polymer type, application type, whether it's, you know, application or waste or primary, and the plastic percentage, the sector, and finally the estimated plastic weight. So Q was the weight of the goods, but then if it's only 43% plastic, then it's only going to be a share of it is going to be plastic. So this table, it's pre-compiled in the tool that you find online, but it's actually something that you need to generate for the country of interest. So you can basically go ahead and download and delete all this information. To fill it in with the value for Vietnam, you first need to go to CEPI website and register. So a bit of a backstory, the country database is super useful, but it's hard to access and manipulate because through the website interface, you can only ask for one code at a time or like a few codes at the time, and we need to extract a lot of codes and information. So we use BASI, that is a database developed by CEPI, and it takes Comtrade data, it harmonizes them, it already computes the weight for all goods, and it's you can just download the whole package at once and have all the country in the world and all the trade in the world in one file. So you can go ahead, you click on the website, you register, and once you register, you access the database, the page with the database, you click on it. So just to show you, this is CEPI and BASI database. And here you have to log in. And once you log in, then you can download the global database, and the version that is available this year, the most recent one is HS17, but I'd suggest you download the most recent one. And then once you've done that, you can go to the sheet input Python, which is here, and export it as a CSV file, actually as an Excel file. Sorry. I mean, you can export it as CSV if you want, but I think it's easier as an Excel so that you can look into it. So you see, copy this table in a new Excel sheet. This table, what is it? Is just the selected the code that we selected at the beginning that contain plastic, and if you have edited them, they're going to be edited in this tool as well, because it refers back to this initial sheet. And now we just want to extract them so that we can use them to look into the database. So I'm going to open a new file, and I just copy paste, and then actually it's maybe better to copy paste as values. So, and then I just save this file, and I can save it. So I'm working here in this tool, and here I created a folder trade where I put the BASI database that I downloaded. And here I'm gonna save this as HS plastics code, for example. Save. And then I can close it. And now I go back to follow the last instruction, which is to run the Python tool T1.4 and put the output, copy the output on this table. And it just puts a warning to not delete the table structure. So let's do that. I go to tool T1.4b. No, sorry. So T1.4b is a Python tool. So it means that you need to have installed software to read Python. I like to work with Anaconda that has Jupyter Lab. So if I go here and I launch it, here it opens already in the right place, but basically I'm in module T3 and I need to click on, sorry, I'm module T1, T2, and I need to open the tool T1.4b. And when I open it, it looks like that. And what it asks from the user is to give the file path of the BASI database. So the BASI database is in the folder trade. I mean, I put it in the folder trade, you put it in, depending which folder. And then there are different years, and I chose the year 2018 and the last version available, so the version 02. And then the file with the HS codes that we just saved in the Excel. And so this one here, it's written the name HS plastics dot XLSX, but it's actually underscore code. And the country code is correct, it's 704, and it says for Vietnam. So it says go check in the country code sheet in T1.4a. And if you go here, you see Vietnam, the code is 704. So that is perfect. And then how do you want to save the country trade data? And here it's okay, we can save it as Vietnam import export Excel file. You can call it whatever you want because this is really just the name of the output file and you are deciding it now. So we go ahead and run, and to run it on Anaconda, you need to press Shift and Enter. And just Anaconda is freely available. So you can just Google or research online how to download it. But basically, once you run it, you see it created the file Vietnam import and export. So now I'm just gonna go back here. And this is here, Vietnam import export. Right, and if I go to put it side by side with the tool T1.4, right, they're in different sheet, in different desktop, sorry about that. So I move it here, and now you see if I put them side by side and I go to country trade data, I have exactly the same headers. So K, Q, K4, polymer type, application type, plastic percentage, and so on. So what I do is that I select the entire table, and you see it's 32,000 lines. I copy, and then I go here, paste special values. And it copied everything here, and I can go ahead and close this. Okay, perfect. And what it did is that it created the polymer, the analysis of trade by polymer. And what you see here, we have all the different polymer, and he collected he took all of the data, all of the trade data that we provided, and he gathered them by different polymers. And we have information on import of primary, exporting primary form, importing products, exporting products, and then import-export as waste. And then the bottom, these three tables are a summary of what is imported and exported as unknown type of polymer. And what happens is that if the polymer type is unknown because it's not clear from the HS code which polymer it is the code is gonna use a polymer, a sector to polymer map. So it's gonna know to which sector the HS code belongs to. So it can be packaging, automotive, so on and so forth. And then depending on the sector, we give a certain typical polymer composition that is typical of the sector. And this mapping, you can find it in the supporting table sheet. So here you see you have this mapping from sector to polymer. And here below, you have different data sources that we use to compute this table. So this table, let's say, comes by default. And again, like if for your country you have more in-depth information, you can go ahead and modify it. So that's it. Like what we obtain is the trade data by polymer. So the step, if I go back here, the step 2 was model trade data by polymer, and this is done automatically. Okay, so we can go back to the sheet polymer focus in the tool T1.4a, and then we're gonna go ahead and select the trade by polymer data. We're gonna just make sure that the polymers are sorted here in ascending order. We copy the data, and we're gonna copy them in the tool A, where we had already written down the production data. So you see we go here again, you can see that the polymer are sorted in an ascending order. So it's good, we're not gonna copy one polymer data in another polymer data. We paste, and it's better to do, I don't know if you saw, but I did paste special by values so that the links to the previous sheet are cut. And now, as you can see down here, it says this is the sheet T1 polymer input for T3.2. So it's actually, as I said, tool A is where we gather all the data for the following modeling analysis. So what we're gonna do now is that we're gonna copy this data to the tool T3.2. So we're gonna click on it, and it's gonna open. And you see it has the same structure. We're in the sheet polymer input, and it has the same structure that we saw in tool A. Here it asks again for the country, and this time it's a drop-down menu, so you need to choose the name of the country as written in the drop-down menu, and I don't remember, okay. Sometimes it's written all together and sometimes it's not. Depends what's the data source that is looking at. So this one is okay. And you can check all the other that are available are in the drop-down list. And then again, we're gonna make sure that the polymers are sorted in ascending order for both import, export, and production. And then we go back to our tool TA. We copy the data, we go here, paste special values, and similarly for the production data, we go back to our tool, go down here. And if you go ahead and have a look at Polymer output sheet, you see that it has started to form, to gather some information. And this is, as it says here, it's production and import of primary. This is import of products, and this is export of primary and products. And then it has already started to calculate the increase in stock, but this is actually a step that we're going to see later on. And you see these are different polymers, and here you can start seeing like the kind of amount that we're talking about from the polymer point of view. All the rest, so basically what's the stock, what's the waste generated, what type of waste management is going to come in the following videos. And just to summarize what we did so far, we had a look into tool T1.2 and T1.1 and T1.2 and T2.1, T2.2. And these are supporting tools that are auxiliary, and you can use them to structure the information and to collect data with stakeholders. And then we had a deep dive. We first went into tool A, and we gathered there the information that we had of production by polymer. And then we had a deep dive into the tool T1.4, and this tool T1.4 is the one where we gather all the trade data by polymer for a country. And once we had the data by polymer in T1.4, then we copied them in tool A, and from tool A, we copied both trade and production data to tool T3.2. That's it for this video, and I'll see you in the next videos.